Welcome everyone to the fifth round of the UzChess Cup 2026. We have Hans Niemann on the screen. He is going to take on Vidit Gujrathi in this important clash. Hans is right now on 50% score. He lost the first round to Nicholas Theodoru and then managed to come back with a win against Shamshidin Wakidov. An important win because Shamshidin has been in tremendous form after that. Vidit, on the other hand, is on -2. He has lost 2 games. The players shake hands and we are ready to go. Vidit, with white, opens with pawn to d4, his favorite move. And Hans Niemann gets his knight to f6. Vidit goes pawn to c4 and e6. You know, there was a time when Vidit was the much higher rated player, but now Hans is actually rated 34 elo points above Vidit. G3, d5, and Vidit going for his favorite Catalan opening. We haven't seen Catalan at top level for quite some time because we've seen most of the games going knight f3, knight c3 instead of g3 system. So bishop p4 check. bd2 is the main move here. But with it goes knight bd2. And now Hans plays his pawn to a5. We have queen to c2. Just defending the pawn here. And Hans brings his knight to c6, attacking the pawn. But, I mean, I'm just going to defend it with knight f3, right? Isn't the knight a bit uncomfortable on the c6 square? But Hans is well prepared. He goes a4, making space for maybe the knight to come to a5 if needed. a3. And now the bishop drops back to e7. We have short castles here by Vidit, Hans castles as well. And now rook to d1. The rook looks opposite the queen. Bishop comes out to d7. And now with it goes rook b1. I was wondering if a move like e4 makes sense. But rook b1, queen to c8 played. And some ideas could come up on this diagonal. Queen to c3. With it quickly moves away. The rook comes to d8. Both players making some moves which are, just building up the position. No exchanges until now. Bishop drops back to e8. I think Hans's position is getting better and better with each move. Knight to f3. But this is not great. Remember, we spoke about this move a4. Making space for the knight. Hans first goes knight e4. He could have gone knight a5 as well. That was a strong move. But knight e4. Attacking the queen. The queen drops back. And now knight a5. Powerful move. But he pushes the knight away with f6. And Vidit can actually capture. First capture can take place. He takes on a d5 first. Pawn takes back. And now with it takes on c6. Knight takes c6. Look at the time difference. With it down to 43 minutes. Hans has 1 minute 20. 1 hour 21 minutes. Bishop takes c6. Taken. Bishop can now come out to b5. Pawn to c6. Play on the light squares. Bishop f4 he plays. Keeping an eye on the c7 pawn. Boom, g5. Wow. Hans Niemann is not afraid. He expands. And the bishop has to drop back now. Bishop e3. He comes back, bishop to e3. And now bishop drops back to e8. Maybe he can pop out via g6. It might be a good time to trade off the knights with knight d2. Plays it. Knight to d2. So with it, keeping the balance for now, knight takes d2. You take back with the bishop. If queen takes, bishop g6 is a strong move. So bishop takes, and now bishop comes here, but you go e4. And that's the saving move here for Vidit. He plays it. Pawn to e4, blocking the diagonal. Black's king does look a bit weak, but the central tension seems to be in black's favor. He goes queen d7. b3 played. Just putting pressure here. And now Hans has a very nice move. Queen c6 to trade the queens. And he plays it. Queen to c6. The thing is, Vidit can take, but then what to do about the e4 pawn? He can go rook e1, but then the a3 pawn is hanging. So all of that, Vidit plays queen a2, not the best. d4, Hans wins a pawn there. Vidit wanted to take back the pawn with a check. But there's bishop f7 and d5. It's just a great maneuver. And suddenly the bishop sits very pretty on the d5 square. Queen b2, attacking the b7 pawn. And he takes on a4. Because now if you take queen b7, takes, the d4 pawn falls and black is winning. So he goes bishop b4, and just like that, Hans Niemann is clearly better. Bishop takes b4, a takes b4, with it down to 13 minutes. He has to make 12 more moves. Hans Niemann on 53 minutes, bishop d5, a good move. Everything is looking great for black. Rook c1, and white is pawn down. It's a very bad position. Queen d7. With its hope is that he's able to somehow create play against the king that's slightly exposed. It's not so clear how. If you play queen c2, attacking the rook and the c7 pawn, they are defended. f5 is a great move. If queen takes c7, I simply take and take on b4 with a big advantage. So can't trade queens. He goes bishop h3, attacking the pawn on f5, hoping for some kind of play like this. g4 to limit the bishop on h3. The bishop comes back to f1. Maybe allowing g4, like playing g4 wasn't the best. Just get some counterplay now. Queen d2. He goes h3. A queen d2 was maybe better to come here. But h3, and now c6 is a very strong move. Just defending the pawn there. Hans Niemann has quite a lot of time. He plays c6. Wow. And Hans Niemann just looking at Vidit there, asking him, what are your plans? Queen d2, attacking the rook. Queen goes to e7, defending the rook and also stopping queen g5. Queen to f4. Vidit is hoping to open up the king side in some ways. Rook f8 defends the pawn. He's ready to give up a pawn here. And that's very good understanding shown by Hans Niemann. Rook to c5. Because imagine take and queen g4. Just king h8. And there's pressure down here. So he goes rook c5. b5 played. And now with it takes on g4. It's completely losing for him. The engine even states -4 here. If takes, queen takes g4. With it seems to have a feeling, that things are not going his way here clearly. King h8. 2 more moves to reach move 40. And then he gets 30 extra minutes. He comes back, queen e2. And now rook b3 and e3 would be very strong. He finds rook b3 as well. Hans playing so well here. Just finding one good move after another. Now e3 even would be amazingly strong. And he finds it as well. And he's taking no time. He reaches move 40 with it. Quickly pushes f4. Rook g8. g3 is weak. He plays bishop to c4. Keeping the bishop alive. Wanting to go pawn to e2. Queen to g4. We have e2. Rook e1. And now queen e3 check. He goes rook g8 first. Allowing rook g5. Takes. F takes. And maybe somehow rook a3, rook a8, come back and play that position. He goes for a check. Hans being a little bit over ambitious. I mean, queen f2 is natural, but it's not the best. He plays it. The main problem is a check is met with bishop back, but can you start with d5 even though your rook is hanging? You go d5. It's the toughest move here. Vidit has 34 minutes because that's 4 minutes on the clock plus 30 extra minutes. And he has to think hard now. And he thinks for a long time. He thinks for 27 minutes and finds d5. Well done. Rook e3. Hans plays it immediately because if queen takes e1, check, and this was a perpetual. So that's why he had to go rook e3. Vidit takes the pawn on c6 now. He comes back because the pawn was rushing down the board. And now queen f4. Offering a trade because otherwise there's a perpetual there. Takes. I mean, even here, if you taken here, queen f8, and actually it's winning for white. So, not a perpetual. Takes, b4, f5. Vidit pushes the pawn, b3. And now Vidit pushes f6, attacking the rook. The pawn has to come forward. So, rook comes up. And now c7 is losing to rook c5. You have to find bishop f3 move. And he finds it with just 5 seconds on the clock. What a impeccable defense. b2. And the point now is you can deflect the rook with c7. The rook is deflected. Rook to e8. And now just bishop e2. Taking here. He finds that move as well. Because if bishop takes e2, now you can't play rook e2 because of check. But you can first play f7, attacking the rook here. And Vidit has magically saved this position. Wow, what a defense. Now rook e2. Could be a move, b1, queen. No, he first makes a queen. Nice. Rook takes c8. And a draw is agreed because if rook takes e2 now, you cannot make a queen. There's a check and it's a draw. So Hans Niemann shaking his head there. He could have won so easily. Vidit has dodged a bullet. Crazy play there. And he could have, Vidit saving a very important half point. Hans Niemann missing out on a huge opportunity in this game.
D5 brilliant.